Hello everyone and welcome to this webinar, Georoom, Next Generation Data Room. Together with Claes Kostro from Kostro Friedel and Alexander Taraldsen from Cegal, we will guide you through this presentation on our data room solution called Georoom. The webinar will last for about 30 minutes and a recording will be sent out 24 hours after the webinar and will be available on our YouTube channel. You will also receive an email about this later on. We will have a question session at the end. So if there are any questions, please use the GoToWebinar chat. There's a certain place there where you can post your different questions. Before we start the main presentation, I would like to say a few words about Kostro Friedel and about Cegal. I'm very happy to have Claes Kostro with us here today for the presentation. KNF offers due diligence and techno-commercial advisory for the international oil and gas industry. The service provides independent guidance regarding technical and commercial risks and the current and future value for any oil and gas field. We will come back to this and show some of the work that Claes does afterwards. KNF works on asset evaluation all over the world and is focused on both conventionals and unconventional reservoirs. Alex and myself, Arne or Stoffe, comes from Cegal, which is a trusted provider of hybrid crowd solutions, software and consultancy within IT, business, geoscience and data management for the energy industry. We have offices at most of the oil hubs around the world, and we are a very strong believer in our company and this combination of IT and geoscience domain expertise. We think that makes us unique, and we have a solution that is very well suited for the energy industry. The reasoning for this webinar is that we see changes in the oil and gas market and the industry that we probably not have seen ever before. And these changes are happening very rapidly. Analytics still believe that there will be a long-term lower oil price, and we all know that as a result of lower oil price over a period of time, typically there's a consolidation both in the E&P companies and also in the service industry. That means that you need to have a good solution that looks professional and is well suited for transaction along or among oil and gas companies. Cegal provides an integrated solution for this that can provide seller with a complete data room solution on the public cloud, reaching all potential buyers globally. This is what we call our Georoom, which is part of the Geocloud suite. Our portfolio of products and services are a threefold, supporting all phases in the value chain for the energy business. Our main product is Geocloud, which also includes Georoom that we will focus on in this presentation. I think our software is well known in the business. We have our Blueback plugins to Petrel, but we also develop independently software on other platforms. These spans through production, geology, geophysics, and reservoir engineering, and not to forget data management. Finally, we have a pool of consultants supporting our whole integrated solution, including our latest contribution through business consulting. And in business consulting, we have a very strong focus together with our cloud solution on application management. Together, this gives Cegal the full value chain across the energy business. I'll leave it with this, and I'm, as mentioned earlier, very happy to have Klaus on board. And Klaus, feel free to kick off.
Thank you, Stoffe, for inviting me today. I will start with 2 slides. And first, I'm introducing my company and the services we provide. So here comes a short introduction to KNS. So we are an advisory service company for the E&P industry, and our main clients are financial institutions like banks, insurance companies like Munich Re, or private equity houses, but also classical E&P operators and non-operators, like in the North Sea, Wintershall Dea, or some of our services are of special interest for governmental organizations. Our main focus are due diligence products for unconventional and conventional resources, where we basically combine technical risk assessment, like reserves, and the techno-commercial oilfield economics together. So all of these studies are handled like fully probabilistic. That means, which opens basically a new door for optimizations of key performance indicators. Could be technically, could be commercial. We work worldwide with a focus on North Sea and Asia, continental Europe, Russia, and in the last years, largely on unconventional US land projects. Our service is always based on an analytical insight of any producing field. This is the basis for us. So what we call the asset performance review, a fundamental assessment for each study, if you want. This is our strength, making basically an X-ray picture of any producing oil field or gas. Our data room evaluation, or in other words, due diligence package, which comes on top of this, is the next level of asset screenings, which again can come for the conventional or for the unconventional reservoirs. The next level to that is the asset development and optimization, where we support the decision makers on making complex decisions. Could be on concept screenings, could be on concept selections, or on a classical way on developments on decision and risk analysis. And on the top of our service pyramid, there's this portfolio management where we give assessment, like an asset overview, and focus on the value optimization. And what we bring, or what we add today to the Georoom, is we basically learn from our past and from our services, and we generate standardized reports based on the data content of the data room. I will give a small examples later on. This due diligence report will be made from the information in the data room. It could be the production data from the field or well level, reservoir engineering parameters, or some generic geological input. We use this data and we enrich the data room content with beautiful visualizations plots and give the first level of interpretation guidance for any potential buyer. We show the asset performance storyline by presenting field and well production plots or production maps like bubble maps and so on, and summarize statistics. We present the asset insight and the development, production performance in time by field, by area, by reservoir, or by well level. The report will picture technical and, if wanted, commercial KPIs in dashboards, which I present later as well, like reservoir management, or infill drilling KPIs. Examples would be recovery factor, reserves depletion, decline rates, voyage replacement ratios, infill drilling success criteria, or if it comes to the techno-commercial, more the net present values or the internal rates of return. And as I said, this is all based on the data room content. I will present an example report later when we go live.
All right, great class. This is Alexander Taraldsen. I will talk about Georoom, the solution, some history, and why we see this being so important in the current time. So Georoom from Cegal has been a game changer both historically and through continuous development in the present time. So Cegal has assisted customers for years now accelerating farm outs by delivering a physical data room or virtual online data rooms to our clients. With our focus on the energy sector, we have been able to deliver tailor-made, efficient, effective, and secure data rooms to our clients. Whereas more traditional data rooms involve securing a physical room with required hardware and sourcing software before eventually loading and configuring data, the Georoom solution on Azure especially enables divesting companies to promote assets to a global audience with our agile delivery methods. Cegal provides an integrated solution on top of the cloud platform to the divestor, so the seller. This is a complete data room solution which can be delivered both on a private or a public cloud, reaching all your potential buyers worldwide. As Stoffe mentioned earlier, we call our product Georoom, and I would say that there are multiple reasons to why we are preferred. And if we think back on the reasoning slide Stoffe showed earlier, I want to highlight two main reasons why I think Georoom is having such a big traction these days. Out of the four different bullets, I think the number one is the part where the analytics are saying that they believe a long-term or low oil price and a continuous consolidation in both the E&P companies and in the service industry will continue. Also, the second point is that the studies demonstrate that companies get around 10% more in sale if due diligence is well prepared by the seller. So by combining Cegal and KNF's services, you can provide, as Klaus mentioned, an X-ray vision of the information that are provided easily to all your possible buyers, to any client around the globe. So let's talk a little bit on the key reasons why to choose Cegal and Georoom. If we think about agility and flexibility, I would say nothing is more agile and flexible than instead of scheduling multiple potential buyers on flights and have them travel across the globe at different time slots with the implications of time, with the implication of them not being allowed to see each other, data, and access to the appropriate data for the appropriate client. With Georoom, instead of doing all these things, you schedule multiple buyers to access the encrypted Georoom solution and access the information you want them to see. And if any of the buyers would like a longer period of time to look at the information, you will simply extend their time slot. If any additional data is requested during the period, no flights has to be rebooked. You simply load the data to the Georoom solution and allow the buyer to access it through our portal. The portal is the access portal for the end user, as well as a management plane. It's simple to use and simple to manage. Under agility, I'd say that with the experience and delivery methods of Cegal, a data room solution can be deployed in a short amount of time, with optimal performance and all resources needed for a proper due diligence available. We have a global delivery and high performance solution made available to your industry experts. So if we think flexibility, you can allow for the commercial part of your business, as well as your industry experts, your geoscientists, to allow to use interpretation software in the solution without having to invest in physical equipment. You can thus improve information sharing with an easy to use access portal. Have access to management at your fingertips, and you can control application and data with the click of a few buttons. If we talk security, data security is a key requirement for the oil and gas industry. Georoom provides end-to-end encryption, identity management, and 24/7 operations support. It's highly valuable data that you put in the data room, and you can be rest assured that we do not compromise on security at any point. As a seller, you can set access levels and keep files protected with enterprise-grade security. Data security protects the data from being downloaded or exported. And these are policies that you as a company can decide where you want to set the limits. Confidentiality ensures the identity of the investors, the potential buyers, are not exposed to anyone else in the data room. Data modification and any metadata is deleted after every client ends their Georoom session. So if we tie that back to the earlier point of having multiple buyers being allowed to access the data room at the same time, all of the information that they bring into the solution, if you want to, will be deleted when they log off. Cegal is reliable through global operations model, providing 24/7 support via email and phone. We know the business and therefore the importance of agility and performance during the data room period. Cegal is known as the application integration specialist in the E&P industry. Following a technology agnostic approach, we are unbiased towards the use of any specific technologies to present value. So if you have any interpretation software, any clustering software that you want to use, we are agnostic in our approach to solve the business needs. This allows Georoom to be in a space where we support any application from any vendor, having a mix of applications to facilitate the workflows that you need in your data room to present your data the most valuable way. This is a picture on the right-hand side that shows the portal that we talked about earlier, and Stoffe will also demonstrate a little bit later. The Geocloud Portal allows access for the buyer and enables the seller's administrators to easily monitor the Georoom activity. So for the seller, the divestor, the administrators can manage users, groups, permissions, and roles. You can also monitor active usage of the Georoom, so you can continuously monitor the usage of the different buyers in the environment. And you can also monitor the license usage of, say for example, your interpretation software. You can follow the usage there as well from the portal. So you have a full overview of your data room solution when you buy Georoom. The divestors admins can administer users and access, approve group access if you have specific information that you want the buyers to apply for if they are supposed to get access. You can monitor the usage and also the licenses in there. For your clients, so for the buyers, users, the portal acts as a start page with links to all relevant resources. So the information you want to bring out to your buyers, you will bring that information to the portal and give it with a simple click of a button to the end users. From here, you also access the Georoom solutions as well as other third-party applications or websites. Cegal has a global presence, as Stoffe mentioned earlier. We have offices in Stavanger, in Oslo, in London, Trondheim, Aberdeen, Houston, Calgary, Dubai, and Kuala Lumpur. So we are present at the different major oil hubs around the globe. Kostron Friedel is also present in both Hamburg and in Kuala Lumpur. Cegal has our own data centers, so our private cloud offering in Norway, in the UK, and in Russia as well. And other parts of Europe is also places where we have private cloud offerings. We have extended our delivery capabilities with public cloud, and we have a picture showing the regions where we have investigated delivering Georoom on Azure with clients. So in this picture, you can see the green circles that shows the area just described. So where we have looked into delivering Georoom on Azure from Microsoft. So you can just imagine not having to travel around to these different places or the different regions, but just let the technology, for you as a seller, just let the technology work for you and deliver your prospects to your potential buyers close to them. Stoffe?
Thank you very much, Alex, for that introduction. I thought it was time to go live. Just a few words here. As pointed out, it can be reached from any device connected to internet, really, the Georooms on Azure. We say that we need a week to mobilize these things in order to set it up. And we can then have multiple sessions, so you don't the time frame you need to have buyers accessing the data room is really limited, since you can have multiple access at the same time. Security has been mentioned, and I think most of these things have already, as you can see on the slide here, been mentioned. It's a familiar setup with Windows 10 and Office 365, and we can do both QC on dynamics and static models. So I think I'll leave the PowerPoint for a minute and go live here so we can have a look at these things. So typically, when you log on to this setup, we're now on the Azure solution. You get a window or the portal set up like this, where you log on to your specific two-factor logon, and you have a set of icons available on whatever kind of products available for the particular user. And together with this, you have also a specific Georoom, Cegal Georoom icon available, which you click on, and then you kick off the whole setup. Together with the data room, you can also have different kinds of reports. So I've taken the liberty, since we're looking at one particular field here called Volve a bit later on, there's an option here to go in and look at data for any specific field and reports. This is a simple Power BI report showing the production of all fields, showing the information about specific fields and the ownership of the specific fields, and what kind of trends you can see in the oil and gas market. So this is just an example of one report. This could be multiple reports available for you as a user. And as mentioned earlier also, it's important that we have a good overview of things, being able to access different kinds of data. We have organized this very familiar for most of the users, where you have a Georoom from Cegal, where you have folders with the different facilities. You have information about production data. Typically, you have all Q&A for a specific project available in one folder, and you can access through that. And you have technical data. License to Share is a Norwegian database for all technical meetings, where you can share information that can be accessed easily through this setup. And obviously, you have a set of management presentations, where you potentially have a financial company presentation, you have the technical company presentations, etc., etc. On top of this, of course, you have multiple applications available that you can access if, depending on what the seller would like to provide. Everything from seismic blending products, interpretation products, to obviously Petrel, which is the more classical one, and most used in most cases. And I have a few examples here of projects. This is an unconventional project that you can look at here, where you have the Texas 2D license map down in the corner here, as you can access it. And you can go in and look at every kind of well setup and go in then into details and looking at different cases, looking at different models, looking at the history of the project. Exactly the same way, if you want to do more conventionals, we have here the Volve field, which is a field west of Bergen, 500 kilometers west of Bergen, where you can then go in and look at the structural model. You can look at all the static parameters that has been put together building this particular project. Finally, you also have the availability to look at different reports as mentioned. And I will now give the mouse to Lars, so he can say a few words about Koster Friedl's setup when it comes to this. So Klaus, can you please check if you're ready to go? Yes, you are. Please unmute.
Thank you, Stoffe. So what I will do now, I will show you an example of an asset visualization and diagnostic report, which is basically visualizing, as I said, the content of the data room, and gives you some first level interpretation guidance for further interpretation. So as said, as an input, we have the production database, which could be a classical OFM database from Schlumberger, but it doesn't matter what kind of production database it is. It's on the field or on the well level, maybe some pressure data if available. Then obviously we need some well locations and some RE, like reservoir engineering input and G&G parameters, which we take out of the data room content. What I will show you now is a slimmed down due diligence kind of looking report, where I just touch the first couple plots to present basically the visualization and the diagnostic, and then you will see the point and you get the point for that. First, I will start with the technical asset performance, basically where we describe the performance of the field, the performance of the producing field. And then I will switch to the remaining production, show some decline curves and 1 or 2 slides on the commercial assessment and something on the data quality. So first I jump into the asset performance. If I click on this, so you will see as a standardized report. So if you have multiple assets or multiple fields, so you would see always the same outline so that the potential buyer knows exactly where to look at and where to find the data to save time and be more efficient. So these are the KPI dashboards I was referring to. This would be a classical one for the overview where you get the production duration, the recovery factors, or the depletion rates of the field. On the reservoir management KPIs, you would have something like voidage replacement or pressure depletion in percentage or water cut at the last 3 months in average, so that you get a feel for the field, for decision makers maybe, so that they see the key KPIs in the first 3 or 4 slides. As in infill drilling, so these are success criteria like recompletion activities, or what is the average recovery per well out of the last wells, etc., etc. So if there are any new injectors, etc. So these kind of overview slides, what you will get from here. And if I click further, then I will say something about the data quality, which I point at the last slide, what you will see at the end of my presentation. But then I come to the reservoir overview where I say, okay, there's some location map. This is somewhere South America, some field, some example. And where I go directly into the production history, where you can see green for oil, red for gas, blue for water, where you say, okay, this is the oil rate versus time. And so what is the field level production? But obviously, if you go downwards to an average productivity per completion, so that you get a feeling which well is producing how much and what oil rate was achieved and what date. So the green again for oil, it's always in my presentation, green is oil and red is gas. I could flip further through this, but maybe this is one example where we give you a first level of diagnostic or the first level of interpretation, where you would see in the uptime statistic or the probability of the uptime per well, where you could go, oh, what is the 50% probability of a well uptime? Or what is the mean uptime in this case? So what we will see, you would go in the 50% and then you would go over and see if there is any potential uptime to improve on this asset, for example, on the availability of the producing field. So if I go back to my, I could go on and go on. Obviously, I have a lot of slides like this, but I don't want to go too much in detail. So then I go into the remaining production, where I basically describe the decline curves per well. This is an interesting plot, for example, where I describe the reservoir production change year on year. So what you will see, green for oil, red for gas, blue for water over the years. And basically these columns are describing the increase in production in a certain year. So that means what you can see in 2014, we have an infill drilling campaign coming up, where it's ramping up the oil, the gas, and the water production per year. Yeah. Even in the following year, 2015, we have an increase, but after that, it decreases already. So this gives you a quite nice overview how the field itself is performing. And then if you go further for the depletion, the reservoir depletion level, so then you could see, okay, the green is what is the production, the yearly production on the field, and where is the yearly depletion rate, and the yellow line over the years, or where we are at the overall depletion if it comes to the cumulative production, so that the reservoir itself has a depletion level of about 60%. Yeah. So if I go back and jump back to the overview, then I go directly into the historical commercial assessment. The first slide is always an overview slide where we see, okay, this is from this field. We can see already in 2014 what I indicated already. They ramped up the production in this field. The same for the gas. And the lower bottom, or on the lower graph, you will see the oil price at this year achieved on the market, so that we can see the estimated oil and gas revenues over time. So this would be an example that for this field, the oil revenues are much higher than the gas revenues, as you can see on this field. So this gives you an idea how the wells and how the fields are contributing to your revenue stream at the end. So this one I could go on and go on, but this is maybe on the yearly basis, so that you can see in 2014 where we had the ramp up, the revenue stream comes in. So, and if I jump back to the data quality, I show only one plot just to give you an idea. So as I mentioned, in 2014 we have this ramp up in production, but if I look at the volatility or the COV value in the lower bottom, so I can see in, I don't know, maybe in 2015, 2016, I can see that the oil production is the volatility is very low. It's lower than 20%. So that means there is no risk of production changes, or less risk in production changes in the coming years. So this is just a very short introduction. It gives you just a flavor on how we produce these plots. For me, it's important that you understand that this is only made from the Georoom content at that point. Yeah. So here I will give back to Stoffe.
Thank you very much for that short introduction. I will, let's see here if I can close this down, and we can then just finally conclude. I see we're a bit over time, but that's fine. I hope it was interesting for all of you. So the conclusion here is that together with different vendors, this was one example, and we were extremely happy to have Klaus here presenting Ostrofriedel and their reports. But as you can see from the slides to the right here, we are vendor agnostic and very focused on really having any kind of partner joining us on these Georooms, supporting the seller in the process of selling assets or companies. We believe that we create an integrated solution that can help both parties. It's important that we have this full transparency of all data objects, and it's up to the seller to decide what and where the seller would like to, and how the seller would like to present the different assets. As pointed out, it's very easy to set up, and the loading of data is done from anywhere really. And yeah, vendor agnostic. And finally, I would like, if there's any interest, please feel free to contact us afterwards if you have any questions. So thank you all for attending the webinar. Thank you, Alex and Klaus, for presenting, and feel free to contact us and ask any questions later. Thank you and bye.